This evening we have with us Mr. James Bosse. I hope that's the correct way of pronouncing your name, James. I always struggle with that name. And he's been with us before on the topic of pornography among men, I think so. It was a fantastic presentation and session. In addition to that, he was represented in the Kisumu County edition, in the Mental Health Counties edition. In addition to that, he's an avid listener. I can always tell he's tuning in, he's listening, he's learning, contributing, and many more. In addition to that, they have a fantastic YouTube channel with their family, the Bosses. They're an awesome family. I mean, like the one for Father's Day. I don't know if you saw it, but it was so interesting to see how they were able to appreciate their father. Then James, I don't know if you do. I actually watched it. I was like, this is very interesting. So generally, him and also as a family, they are awesome people. Please follow their YouTube channel and see what they're up to. It's very interesting. And now, aside from all that, he's here today to talk to us about masculinity, the enemy within, mentoring the next generation. James, karibu sana.
Asante sana. I think that was such a huge introduction. Wow, Helen.
I know, it's funny. It was so, I wasn't reading just from my head, so I didn't have the one I read last time. So I was trying to pick from my mind, what do I know about James? And I think I'm accurate.
You are very accurate. Why do you struggle with pronouncing my name? It's Bosse.
Oh, Bosse. I hope we all got it. It's Bosse, not Boss. Boss. Yes.
Easy.
Is it an English name or a community name?
No, it's actually Swedish. I was named after a Swedish missionary.
That's now why I struggle. I'm not familiar with Swedish way of naming. I have a right to, but it's okay. I'll call it the way my version of English. Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna catch up soon. Thank you so much. I think we can set the ball rolling.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. And I think Helen has done enough introductions. So we're gonna move on straight to our topic of the day today. Others will join us, I'm pretty sure, as we continue. And today I'm going to talk about the enemy within. And sometimes today is Masculinity Monday. So sometimes men, we lie to ourselves that our enemies are outside actually, but when they are inside. I'm going to handle these in relation to mentoring the next generation. And this is basically for those of us who have joined as parents, it will be able to help you with the people in the house. For those of us who are joining as professionals, you may have come across all these in your practice, and mentorship has become a real challenge currently. You look at most young people, more so young men, mentorship is a challenge. Young ladies, the society has a way of mentoring them because ladies usually are not quiet. They make noise when something is not right. People say that they gossip. Would we call it gossip? Maybe. It's talk therapy, because after they have talked, something goes out, something comes in, and they are able to go back and utilize the resources they received in that gossip among the people they are mentoring. So in most cases, you'll find that they get stuff done easier and quicker as opposed to their male counterpart. And again, we all are aware as professionals that psychologically women mature faster than men. So it makes work easier to a certain point for women as opposed to men. However, we're going to look at mentoring the next generation. And when I was thinking about this topic, I thought about the most important part of a human brain, of a human being, and that is the brain. Because your brain seems to be the engine that runs your whole system. And so we are going to look into this and see what then happens? Helen, would you like to share my screen? My next slide, please. I can't be able to go to the next slide. Next slide, please.
Hi, James.
Yes.
You should be able to do that. I can't be able to do on my end.
What happened? Okay, there you go. Is that the next one? Yes, there you go. Masculine comes from a Latin word masculus, which means male, and it changed from masculus to masculinus before the English took it and said masculine, which denotes muscles and which are mostly found in men. And in itself, it's a sense of strength, vitality, and ability to hold and withstand. I'm going to use the utilization of your brain as an individual. Sorry. We all utilize our brains depending on growth milestones. We all, professionals who are here, are aware of the growth milestones from childhood into teenage. And mostly the environment we grow up in dictates our immediate reaction to situations. And in mentoring these young people, whether they are in-house or from outside, it is important for us to understand their environment. And it will give you an idea how they are likely to react to the situation. Instinct will either hold up or give up, depending on levels of exposure to danger. There are those that when exposed, they fight. And there are those that when they are exposed, they flee. But there are those that when they are exposed to this danger, they shut up. And when they shut up, they have them as pent up feelings. And the day they explode, these are the cases that you get to hear that somebody took a panga and was comfortably chopping the arms of someone else without a feeling in the world. And human brain entertains that which has less or no pain. Therefore, its nature is of conditioned appeal, which, if not interrupted, creates a viable avenue for growth. However, with interruption, it degenerates to an offensive mode for survival. So when we are mentoring our young people, be it male or female, one of the key things is we need to be able to understand. Sorry.
Hello, let's ensure we are all muted. Please let's ensure we are all muted to allow for the presentation.
We need to all be able to understand that how do their brains work, at what level. So it is important for us to go through the milestones of growth and to know, as professionals, we have no excuse but to go through these milestones of growth and be able to understand from the point of a psychoanalyst, behavioralist, humanistic, and all these other extensive theories that have been able to study human brain. This is the state of your mind. Most of the times you've been told there's the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere and how we think. And so it's quite important that from the reaction that you'll get, you can be able to gauge this person thinks with which side of the brain more than which side. So those who use the right brain more efficiently, they are emotional, they deal with visual and artistic subjects, they look for the goodwill, they're intuitive and they trust their intuition, and the right brain possesses humanistic features like emotionality, sympathy, empathy, feelings, and compassion. Basically, as counselors, we are asked to practice a lot of this. So we are being told, as much as you're using the left side, which is logic, you need to practice more of the right side, which is empathetic, feeling, compassionate, and what, so that you are able to help your clients. The left side is interested in mathematical expression, uses languages well, it is pragmatic, cares for the result, interested in clear results, and the left brain is successful in academic and scientific subjects. Most of them are successful in academic and scientific subjects. It is important for us to understand how their brain and their mind operates. Now, it is also equally important to realize that at occasions, people oscillate between the right and the left brain. People oscillate. When you provide conducive environment, people are able to like balance and oscillate in between the two of them. And you realize that as much as this is somebody, it helps you to break them down and bring them to have some level of human feelings so that they are able to be helped in their journey. Immanuel Kant, this was a philosopher, he was German, and he talked about the possibilities and the realities of all these thoughts, feelings, emotions, causes, and the reasons for causes. And he said that in his doctrine of transcendental idealism, he argued that space, time, and causations are mere sensibilities. Things in themselves exist, but their nature is unknowable. So it makes it very difficult to be able to understand why certain things happen the way they happen. Occasionally, you've heard people say, I leave it up to God. Let nature take its course. You know, these things in themselves, they exist, but their nature is unknowable. That's why sometimes we have to let go and let nature take its course. Now, when you are dealing with young people, when you are dealing with people in wherever you are, at workplace, in church, in the office, in the house, sometimes some of them do not even know what they are going through. So it is very important for you as the person dealing with them to understand what are they going through. There are intrinsic and instrumental values. The wild nature and healthy ecosystem have intrinsic value, prior and apart from their instrumental value as resources for human and should therefore be preserved. If you look at nature today, it fails you to understand that the more wild it is, the more healthy the system is. So you need to, you can't explain, you need to preserve the ecosystem, but the only way to preserve it and keep it flowing is by making it more wild. Bring this back into your house. Sometimes it is not the viability of what we call civilization that creates value in these people. Sometimes it is the ability to sit down and go down to the nitty-gritty of the nature of how they have grown up. There's been a picture doing rounds on social media of these young ones playing on a muddy street. It's a hill and it has rained and they are all with their clothes and they are sliding straight from up going down. And they don't care a thing in the world. Them they are playing. But you know, I was looking at it and I'm thinking, so what happens when they reach home? Some of them will get a thorough beating. Some of them will be reprimanded. Some will have bruises because they're sliding on soil bare. I mean, basically they were naked, you know. But if you look at the values that explicitly open up their hearts and minds and feelings to what they are doing vis-a-vis the punishment, then they don't have to worry about the punishment. And therefore, they preserve the beauty of what they experience against what they expect. And some of them, when they get home, they really don't expect much. They'll be reprimanded, done with, end of story. And then, of course, we have another pragmatism and contributory goodness. These have the same qualities as the good things, but need some emergent property of a whole state of affairs in order to be good. So you have some of these people you are with, they have a lot of qualities that are good that you should mentor, but they need some emergent property of a whole state of affairs. They need you to be able to, sorry, they need you as an individual, as the key person, as the lead person, to help them understand that the good in them is equally good enough for them to move to the next level, but they have to put in effort. If they do not put in effort, it cannot help them to move to the next level. Then we have another group that is hypothetical and categorical good. The thought of moral value as a unique and universally identifiable property, as an obsolete value rather than a relative value. This shows that many practical goods are good only in states of affairs described by a sentence containing an if clause. And in the sense, sunshine is only good if you do not live in the desert. All along, you've been told that too much of anything is poisonous. A lot of people have heard that on several occasions, that too much of anything is poisonous. These people are the group that believes that categorically certain things must be put in place. There's no absolute value, rather everything is relative. So you tell them the truth and they tell you the truth is relative. To some it is true, to some it's a lie. This group of people are one of the hardest group to be able to mentor. Why? Because they have a sense of laissez-faire. Nothing really matters that matters. As long as I'm well, I have woken up, I've had what I have, and I've gone to bed. So what? Tomorrow takes care of itself. And sometimes what happens is, in their ability not to care, they hurt others. And so it is important for them to be shown that though categorically the good in them is good enough, but they have to stand their ground and realize that it may not be absolute value, but it is also not just relative value. They need it for a certain period of time. Any question up to that point? Anybody who would want to add in?
Hi, James. I saw chat earlier on in the chat section, and somebody was asking,
yes,
with regard to the brain, if you don't use your left or right side, could they fail to be functional?
Will they?
Will it fail to be functional?
No. It's functional. The only thing is, at any given time, there's one side that is more active than the other. I'll give you an example. Most of the times when a man goes to the supermarket to do shopping, they use the left side of the brain. If I can just go back. They use the left side of the brain, which is more logical. The ladies who are here, you'll agree with me that you've gone shopping with your husband, and the husband or whoever, or a man around, and they are always interested in, what is the price of that? What are we buying? Where are we going? And if they have a list, they would like to churn those lines in the supermarket. This happens to me a lot when I go shopping. I start from a particular point and I go across all lines, picking everything, and I make sure I end up at the teller. So occasionally I have problems because I need to pick stuff in the freezer, but they should be picked as the last ones before I get to pay. But you see, when I'm going to shop, in most cases, I use the left side, which tells me it's logic. Go line after line. There's no point in you going round everywhere and going back and forth. Go line after line. Does it mean that my right side of the brain doesn't work? Of course, it continues to work, because sometimes I have gone all round and then I remember, oh, I needed to carry a bar of chocolate. You see, that is the emotional side of me, because the bar of chocolate is taken to one person in my house and it's a special thing. Not every day people eat bar of chocolate. So it doesn't mean that when you're using the right side, then the left side is dead, or when you're using the left side and the right side is dead. But like I said, always you oscillate. Given the right environment, a lot of people oscillate between the left and the right.
Thank you, James. We can proceed from there.
Okay, let's talk about the enemy within. The enemy within falls in 3 categories, though is not limited to these 3, because some people also tend to say that they don't fall within the 3 categories. So whatever category you fall in, it's okay. And these categories, I specify them as culture, tradition, and religion. Culture is very important. It's an umbrella of things that we need so that we can live together and have, the commonality in knowledge, beliefs, art, laws, customs, capability, habits of individuals in these groups. However, different cultures across the world are known for grooming either positive or negative attitudes in humans. Depending on where is, the personality of an individual will be shaped according to their perception of what is the cultural norm. And of course, cultural norms are the standards. This is explained in terms of when you are in a collective environment. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. When you are in a collective environment, it is important for you to be able to understand the cultural background of the people you're mentoring. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Sorry for that, James. Go ahead.
Okay. Lest you, when you're in a group of people that you're mentoring, you need to be able to understand a little bit of what is their cultural background, so that you are able to groom them to help them have positive attributes towards humanity. What might be culturally right for me in this region of the country might not be culturally right for someone in another region of the country. I want to give a very unique example here. Permit me to use this, excuse my language, but it's okay. At some point in the late 90s, I was working in Uganda. So I was given a mandate to go and establish a children's home on an island within Lake Victoria in Uganda, a place I've never been. So I was just given a map by these guys from UK, and they told me, on this island, you'll find somebody called so-and-so, get there, and within 3 months, we need you to have built houses that can contain 15 children, 10 girls and 5 boys. And that was interesting. So I landed on this island only to realize that the nearest person who can speak a language I understand, they speak English, is the head teacher of the only school on the island. He speaks literally broken English. Even my 5-year-old daughter will speak better English than him. But he has some broken Swahili. So in our discussion, I use words of Swahili. So I use the word maana ya hii ni kumaanisha, which you all understand, right? But the minute I mentioned maana ya hii, everybody went, oh. And so I wondered, what have I said that is not right? So the headmaster calls me aside and tells me that's a very ambiguous word in our culture, and it's never mentioned. So in my quest to find out what does it mean, then he tells me mana in Luganda means a woman's reproductive organ. Now that was a shock. So why am I saying that? When you're mentoring these people, it's important you understand a bit of their culture and use the most appropriate language that will not like interfere or infuriate them with your words. The norms and standards we live by, they are shared expectations and rules that guide behavior of people within social groups. They are learned and reinforced from parents, friends, teachers, and others while growing up in a society. So these norms, again, they will mandate you, the mentor, to help the mentee through them. If you go outside of the norms, there's room for questioning. Why? And when you encounter the word why, then you should be able to have because. You have an answer. And that calls for you as a mentor to have a vast knowledge of the people you're mentoring and most likely questions. Okay, then we have tradition. Tradition is a belief or behavior passed down within a group or society with symbolic meaning or special significance with origins in the past. But as true as this is, it can also be used for all the wrong reasons when the patriarchal tendencies outweigh the humanitarian reasons and give way to rigidity of reason, stretching the belief to the extreme. And we've seen this. I am a very ardent advocate of women's rights. I'm a man, but I'm a very ardent advocate of women's rights. One of the reasons why I do this is I was born of a woman, I married a woman, and I gave birth to women. And so one of the key things I don't like about the patriarchal society and the tendency is that they lord it over. In a patriarchal society, there's tendency to lord over what I feel is good enough for me. I lord it over the rest of the people so that I remain the one feeling good. All of us seated here, we've had, most of us in my age group, we've had parents that when daddy walked through the door, everybody fizzled away. Or if daddy coughed, then everybody jumped. Some, even mommy. If mommy came and you had her voice by the gate, everything just disappeared. All the dishes were put in place, the beddings were done, the clothes, everything. There was just that fear in us. When it is overstretched, it gives a reason to harm others. So tradition, as much as it is good, it should at any given time help us to move to the next level positively. And in that case, it needs to affect the people around us. We need to be able to create traditions around us that are viable and conducive for growth, not traditions that stunt others and make others better. Of the reason is ignorance, low self-esteem, aggressiveness, and sheer stubbornness. When your son walks home and tells you, I'm old enough and there's nothing you're telling me. What tradition did you build? And then when you pick up an argument, he tells you, you're not arguing like a man. Argue like a man that you are. Is winning an argument making you more man than already you are? No. So when you're mentoring these people, it's also important to understand what is their tradition. Some of these people have come through the tradition that is not tradition. What do I mean? Everything is done anyhow. Bora imefanywa. So they do not have a particular path and tradition and beliefs to follow. They only do what is popular, what is available, what is around. And then we've got religion. I am always skeptical about religion. I'll touch a bit of it, don't worry. Religion is a socio-cultural system of designated behaviors and practices, morals, worldviews, texts, sanctified places, prophecies, ethics, or organizations that relate humanity to supernatural, transcendental, and spiritual events. Now, the thing here is all of us have an inherent need to believe in a being higher than us. So whatever it is, whoever it is, however it is, that's a belief you have. But you have a belief that whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, however you believe, it sorts you out to a level. Now, some individuals may experience persecution or discrimination. So depending on personal views, religion should never be imposed. Depending on personal views, it is important for you to allow these mentees to question the religion and the level of belief. Why? When somebody asks you, when a child asks you, I had this very interesting question. Jesus was born of Virgin Mary. True or false? I say true. Mary was a virgin. How did he give birth and he didn't meet Joseph? I say because he was born of the Holy Spirit. He said, oh, that's wonderful. That's why we believe in the Holy Spirit. So Jesus was a bastard. Ouch. Then you come back, coming to think about it by the way. In our normal society today, Jesus would have been born out of wedlock. We put our heads in the sand not to listen or hear or want to hear this. But because he was born out of wedlock, because he was not Joseph's biological child, he would then be called bastard. Now, that was very intriguing. It elicited a debate within me to ask many questions about religion, beliefs, and why we believe in them. And so when we are going through with these mentees, when you're going through with this generation that we want to bring up the manhood in them, we need to be able to understand what are their personal views and can we guide them through in these personal views. Any question up to that point? Helen?
Thank you, James.
Yeah. Is there
I'm
any
seeing
question?
feedback. Yes, I've seen feedback on the chat. Someone is saying specifically on mentoring a man or a boy, advise those who take up a group approach on how to stimulate the group of boys or men into being real and authentic, particularly knowing that they have been socialized to bottle up and hide their true emotions.
And that's what we're talking about. That bottling up is what I'm fighting. Yeah. That's why I brought up the issue of the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. They have been taught to butter the right side of the brain, which is emotional, and stick to the left side, which is logical. Mwanaume ni kukaa ngumu. It's not that easy. I'm dealing now with a number of men who are totally broken, and it's very hard for some people to believe that men also can cry. Yes, they do. We do cry when it's necessary. Can I continue?
Yes, James, you can continue.
Man versus male. Today is Masculine Monday. That's why I'm talking about man versus male, but you can still use the same for female, woman versus female. Being a man is an office, but being male is creation, and a man stands out for what is right, not what is popular. A male will support what is popular, even if it is wrong, because they want to massage their ego. A man is emotionally sound. If it calls for crying, let them cry. If it calls for being calm, let them be calm. If it calls for them being in control, let them do it humanly. But a male is a control freak. There are certain norms that have been set that should not be surpassed. When they are surpassed, then everybody is wrong. They are right. You know, a man questions the norms to find the middle ground. What can we do about it? But a male looks for the conquest. End of the argument. I win. If there is anybody who feels like they're not happy about this, then they can hit the road. A man reasons and is proactive, but a male assumes and is reactive. A man is proactive. When you're told what is going to happen, you think outside of the box and far from the box. A male assumes and is reactive. He remains in his box and he reacts from the box and he explodes within the box. A man commits to change. A male complains of change. Change is inevitable. They say change is the only thing that is constant. And a man's strongest point is in complimenting others. Do you accept and appreciate that others can also have a similar aspect in life like you? Male seeks for compliment itself. A male wants it to themselves alone. Holding up the next generation, in mentorship, we strive to appreciate the different abilities at all levels. As a parent or a mentor, we may have a particular prescription of values that we wish to impact on our young ones. However, it's important that we also get to develop strategies for mentorship that are personal in nature. Some of these young people, you have to take a personal route with them. If you take the general route, it may not work as fast. So you take a personal route with them. So you get to sit down with them and find out what are they going through. And in your area of mentorship, try and identify the loopholes. You develop strategies, you draw a work plan, you discuss the plan with the mentees, you implement on understanding by all who are involved. You cannot come up with a plan and say, Monday we will play football, Tuesday we'll do basketball, Wednesday we'll do this without involving them, and you should be able to evaluate the outcome. Now, when it comes to identifying the loopholes, understand your child or mentee's challenges. Discuss reality. My wife always says that fantasy and reality are not relatives. Set rules and consequences for breaking them. So as much as you're mentoring these people, set rules and consequences. You'll have the tab, but if I find you visiting a site that you should not visit, then you won't have the tab for the next 1 month. You know, talk openly about porn, drugs, alcohol use, talk about sex if need be. Brainstorm strategies and approaches. Help your child be more cautious. Help these mentees be more cautious on what they're picking up. They do not know. You're talking from the point of know-how to a known. Them, they're talking from point of the unknown going to the known. You are talking from the point of known, but you do not know what to expect. Them, they're talking from the point of hearing you, which is known, but they do not know what to expect, because they might take what you're saying as opinion and do what they want. Strategies: establish sensible limits, confront misbehavior with dignity, no shouting, no making reference to things that are not realistic. Provide healthy, viable choices. Most of the times, all we tell these young ones or the mentees is don't. Who tells them do? Help youths to learn from consequences of their choices. Elicit a commitment to change, and then develop a sense of remorse. That sense of remorse must not be developed through pain. It should be mutual and viable. Develop a work plan. See that there's a problem and identify which behaviors are the problem. Not all. Please try and make them realize that not all their behaviors are a problem. There are some that are good, and there are others that are a challenge that needs to be sorted. Set goals for behaviors you want to stop and the others that you want to start. Create a plan for how to reach the goals. and then put in effort to reach the goals. After creating this plan, follow it one by one so that you have something, a reason to be able to help them achieve what they are going to achieve. Then discuss this plan. Take non-judgmental attitude. The mentees are very sensitive. When you take a judgmental attitude, wanakuacha kwa mataa. That's your monkey, carry it. So don't push them into closure. Allow them to open up. Don't share experiences of your wild child youth because you are supposed to be giving them the positive vibes. There are certain things about your wild child youth that if you shared, they will only go a long way to enhance the feeling that patriarchal society, it's okay. So remember, lots of teenagers try things once. And once they've tried, they determine whether to go on or stop. But help them be informed and then get some support. Now, once you have done all this, implement. In implementation, number one, your role number one, you're a consultant. This is the most obvious role for a mentor to play. They will always refer back to you. So if you make any mess, they will refer back to you. Role number two, you are the counselor. You learn to listen. And then role number three, you are the cheerleader. In addition to all of the constructive feedback and advice that a mentor can give, they should also provide support and enthusiasm. These are your roles in implementing, and after that, you evaluate. In evaluation, you find out that this person, these mentees, they will improve in communication and personal skills. They will develop leadership and management qualities. They will reinforce their own study skills and knowledge of their subjects. If those who are in school, those who are in college, they will increase in confidence and motivation. They will engage. Most of them, they will find time now to utilize their time in volunteering opportunity valued by employers. And if you check keenly, they'll be able now to do their own CVs and write a name of their own, because in this society, a good name is better than wealth. Up to that point, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. So if you have a reason to live, then you can bear all the questions of how do you live. Without much ado, I'll say thank you.
Thank you very much, James.
Karibu. I will be giving this back to you, Helen, so that if there are any questions, if we have any comments, and anybody who would like to share.
Even as I look into the comments, something I'm realizing is mentorship is a lot of work. Someone has to be willing to put in the work that comes in with mentoring people. And I'm wondering, could that be reason why we don't have any more mentorship happening? Because people don't want really to put in the work, the effort, the commitment, the holding this person's hand and journeying with them, being intentionally there for that person. That's something I'm just wondering, even as I have seen the presentation, so all the process required to go through that journey successfully from the way you have described it.
It is a bit of work, by the way. In most cases, as a mentor, you'll have to go with this person hand in hand for quite some time. Actually, the minimum I've ever had is 6 months for you to start seeing any positive result. Others start getting result at the 2nd month, the 3rd month, but 6 months, then you have some concrete and tangible results. So yeah, a lot of people fear it because of the work that you have to put in. It's quite a lot.
Okay, there's a question. On the issue of religion, if the mentee is a minor, can he be allowed to join any religious belief?
That's a very interesting question, because as a minor, the question would be, who are the mentors? Where are they going? Who do they live with? Who is the guardian? Because most likely the guardian will have a say in where they go. Your work as a mentor is to help them be level-headed where religion is concerned. They don't go to one extreme and they don't go to the other extreme. You know, religion is opium of the majority. So there are possibilities that people can go to one extreme or the other.
Okay, thank you, James. I'm wondering if there's anybody else who has a comment. I'm seeing somebody called Brie Techno is appreciating with a clap. Or just asking the rest of us, what have we had? What have we learned from today's session? What is it that you're taking home with you, even as you process what you have learned today? I've also seen Angela is appreciating. She says this was a very deep presentation. Yes, it was. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, sasa our wanafunzi James hawaongei. Me, I feel like I want to just pick somebody randomly and ask them to tell us what they have learned.
Chagua.
Let me look for a random, you know, the sad thing is that this class somebody can leave without the teacher's permission. Okay, somebody is saying I'm here. Okay. Oh yes, I had muted also. Go ahead. Go ahead, Carol.
Hi.
Thank you very much, Bosse, for that. I'm just wondering, sometimes as parents, you're very unfair to our children. We expect them to behave in a manner that is correct and acceptable, but we do not give them that example in our homes. We want them to be respectful, but we do not respect our spouses in the house. Even the way we behave, if a man comes home late and he's violent, and then you expect your son to be an upright kind of a person. So what is it that we are teaching our children? Because they are monkey see, monkey do. So they see what you do and they see how you behave your things and they copy it. It's obvious. Sometimes we tend to punish our children or even blame them, yet we do not give them that room to behave the way they're supposed to behave or the way they're expected. It starts from us as parents to mentor them, from our behaviors. It's no book, no college, no degree, no PhD. It is our behavior right in the house that's supposed to help these children. Yeah.
Thank you, Carol, for that feedback. Rose is saying, well done, James. I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot about using the two parts of the brain. Thanks a lot. And then someone is saying, James, please comment on status of the brain at older age. The left and right side considered here. Okay, so this brain issue is really eliciting many questions. Yes.
So that's very interesting. The beauty about the left and the right hemisphere of the brain is the older you get, the more balanced you become, and you are in charge of your faculties. And usually the older you get, you reach a point where you have a choice to choose what you want to display. That's why there are people who are old enough, and you've had situations and stories of nani ndiye alifanya hiyo kweli, mnadanganya, sio yeye. It's because they made a deliberate choice to use what was not supposed to be used at that particular time for their personal gain. And then now we go back to my story of male versus man and woman versus female. And if you realize that I said one is proactive, another one is reactive. So when you're pushed to a point where you have to react, sometimes you utilize the side that you are not supposed to utilize for your own personal gain. So beliefs and chances that the older you get, the worse you become, sometimes is neither here nor there, though other conditions might set in that will reduce the speed at which you reason and think with both sides of the brain.
Okay, and I know the brain is a very wide area.
Yes.
Okay, Cyprian is asking something. Also, I was also wondering, distinguish between mentorship, coaching, counseling, or can they be used interchangeably? Mentorship, coaching, counseling, I think even directing, parenting. So distinguishing between mentorship, coaching, and counseling, and also asking, can they be used interchangeably? And how do I know when to counsel and when to mentor? And even just to welcome anybody else, the platform who may be feeling they want to be able to contribute and say, what is your experience with mentorship and coaching and counseling? And Edith is saying, please, I miss the man versus male. Okay, that was at the beginning. Then someone else is saying, comment on mentorship and gender. Okay, yes.
Okay, mentorship versus coaching and counseling. In counseling, as we are all aware, once you build a relationship with anyone, then it is near nil to offer counseling because it becomes a dual relationship. I cannot be your mentor and your counselor. When it comes to issues counseling, at that point, I should be professional enough to refer you. Coaching and mentorship go hand in hand. There are some that you'll be a mentor while coaching, and there are some that you will be a mentor but not coaching. When it comes to coaching, there are set rules and do's and don'ts on coaching. Coaching is strict. There are do's and don'ts. Whereas mentorship, we can sit and reason. Counseling, once you are in my group of mentee or my coaching squad, then there is dual relationship, and I should be able to refer you to a counselor if there's an issue I identify that requires counseling. The next person was asking about mentorship and gender roles, right?
Yes.
This is very interesting. The enemy within. Our topic today was the enemy within. And one of the key things that beats logic here is about gender. Because every time you mention gender, people think about the chores of a man and a woman. So a man in a home is supposed to be the one fixing everything in terms of logic and practical stuff. The woman is supposed to belong in the kitchen and washing and cooking and blah, 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 blah. You know, in mentorship, we mentor this person all round. A human being should be an all-rounder. What happens? Simple assumption is, if my wife fell sick today and the children are in the house, would I take up her roles and continue as though she's well? Or would I want to call her sister or now employ somebody because those are not my roles? That's where we go wrong. But when we talk about gender the way it is supposed to be, then mentorship cuts across, whether it is the male gender or the female gender. What was the third question? Remind me. Someone said he missed out. No, someone said he missed out on man versus male.
But James, I don't want you to go back there. I'll refer them back to the Facebook page.
Exactly.
And anybody who wants the notes, I'm going to put the number to send to you. Send 100 shillings and also indicate your email address, and I can send you the presentation. Yes. So that goes to Harrison Mwangi as well. A question here as we wind up. My client, a college student, said this about pornography. It is safe from STI, pregnancy, cheap and private. Kindly comment on the same. Okay, so Angela knows you shared earlier on about pornography. Maybe this is why it's coming up.
If you want a straightforward answer, I will tell you cheap is expensive in the long run. That's a straightforward answer. But the reality of pornography is that there's part of your brain that it works on, that at the end of the day, in your older age, you become like dysfunctional. It strays up your mind, it strays up parts of your body, and it is highly addictive, so you become addicted. So if this is a man, then he has to rely on visual videos in order to be able to rise to the occasion. And even when he rises to the occasion, he ceases seeing the person in the act, he sees the images. He lives with the images from the visual for performance. That is how bad it is. And if it is a woman, it's a world of fantasy. She fantasizes what she would be expecting vis-a-vis what she has. So the same goes for the man. He fantasizes what was seen, because men, we see more than we feel. Women feel more than they see. So simple answer is cheap is expensive. So if you follow up this person over the years, you'll be so surprised that they are not who they are.
Okay, thank you, James. I think the last one. I have learned that there is a contrast between man and male. It seems we have more males than men. Can a male be helped to become a man? Very good one from Jacinta.
Yes, a male can be helped to become a man. It is important that you're male. That's why I said man is an office, male is creation. It is important that you are created male, but you must learn to work in an office. Just like in a normal life, you cannot be born and then you become a CEO. You have to be trained to go through school, to learn, to graduate, to go through internship, to work, and then you become a CEO. And when you become a CEO, you're responsible for other people. So yes, it's possible.
And you're saying James, maybe someone's wondering, can they, I've seen people asking the questions about pornography. I think that's something you can talk with them later. Also, if someone wants mentorship, they can also talk to you later on and more about that. Are you okay with sharing your contact information?
Yes, I gave them to Anne. She didn't share. Okay, can you be able to type? Let me see.
Yes, I can.
Okay, my phone number is 0720 42 90 53. And my email is austinbosse@yahoo.com. Austin being OSTEEN